In this video, we're going to take a look at Notability and its powerful note-taking abilities. I am going to start by setting up Notability, and I'm going to try and highlight things that you may not know if you've just logged into Notability. The first thing we're going to do is in the bottom left-hand corner, there is a gear wheel icon. This gear wheel icon right here, we're going to use that to set up our Notability. This is the shop here. You have to pay for those. And this is the trash bin, as is self-explanatory, I hope. So when we click the gear wheel icon, several things come up that are important. The first is the version. You want to make sure that you're keeping this up to date. The second is auto backup. I absolutely highly recommend that you set up your Google Drive, your school account Google Drive, because it has a lot of space on it, as a backup option. And what this means is all your files will be backed up to Google Drive. And you get to pick which folder it's going into, or which subjects are backing up, and also the file format. Note is, as it says, Notability's native format. But set this up so that if you lose your iPad, or you're somewhere where you can't access it, you always still have access to those files on your Google Drive. I also highly recommend setting up your Google Drive here so that you're logged in, which also means that you can import files from your Google Drive to your Notability. It's very easy to do and also means your life is much easier. Other things that you should do is handwriting. You would want to click, if you are a left-handed person, the left-handed mode. Other features in the main part of the app are in the top left and the top right. We're going to take a look at that top left to start with. Top left-hand corner, you have an edit button. I'll walk you through some of that edit features here in a moment. You have an export button, which I'll cover more in the individual part. And then a plus sign here that I'll also cover in that piece in a moment and go through that with you. You have a new Notability file. So if you want to make a new file, this is the button you would click. You also have import here if you want to import a PDF, for example, from your Google Drive, because you set that up. It's here. You can also search your notes. So let's take a look at that edit feature. So the edit feature allows us on this screen to click many notes, and we can either duplicate them by that plus sign, or we can put them in the trash bin if we would like to. We're also able in the edit feature to edit our labels here. So I can edit the label for this file divider. I can also edit the color and the name for our subjects here as well. If you want to add those, and you'll notice that I have quite a few. I have my subjects laid out, the ones that I teach, and then I have folders of such within those. That's this button here, the plus sign, and you have a subject and a divider. So the divider is that little black line that you're seeing, the little black triangle that will collapse or expand, and the subject is the actual place where you're containing files. So we're actually looking at the divider here of work, and we are then looking at recent notes, or in this case, I'll put us onto STEM saved, and these are all the files within that particular subject grouping. So you can move them around here, you can pick them up and move them to different ones if you need to, so that makes that easier. On the right, as I mentioned, this is the import, so you can import here, and here we have our new document. So we're going to go ahead and open up a new document. One of the first things that you will want to do is change the name of your file. So you're just going to click this, and you can here change the name or video. We're just going to put it as that. And we are then going to navigate through these buttons. We're going to start with the panel on the right. So we're going to start with the three little buttons on the right first, the three little dots. I'll talk about the two pages that are on top of each other here in a moment, but we'll start with these three dots. First thing, you can change the paper, change the color, change the lines. There are also additional files that you can add for music if you so wish. Click again, we have view. Currently we're on seamless, which means I'm scrolling. But if I do single page, I'm going from side to side. Your preference. But I'm going to change back to slimness right now. We're going to then look at the middle section. So we're going to look here at T, and then this is the pencil, this is the highlighter, the eraser, this is the loop or cut tool, the hand feature, which I actually never use, and this is the laser pointer. You're only going to see the laser pointer if you are recording, but it has several options. You can change the color, or you can hold the laser tail or not hold it. I like it that way, but what it means is that you're able to highlight while you're presenting. So if you're recording a video like I am right now and you have a Notability file, you're able to do that and it disappears afterwards. So it's really like a laser pointer. Type tool, pretty much self-explanatory. One feature that you might not know is that you have here on the right hand side, so look down here when I open up once more, you have a bullet option. So you can change to bullet point, numbers, or checklists, and the checklists mean that you're able to have a checklist that you're able to mark off things as they're done, which is kind of useful when you're trying to do many things. The A, B, and C that you're seeing there towards the right, that is for favorites. So if you have a particular font, a particular color that you like to use, you can absolutely put them in there. The power, however, for Notability is really in the pencil, and there are several options here for the pencil. We have the first screen that you can see here. There's two different types of pen marking. I tend to prefer the one on the right. It looks much more like normal handwriting. And the rest, this is getting thicker and thicker for your pencil. I find up here is about perfect for my handwriting. You can sweep to the right and get more styles, and you can also add your own, which I'll come back and talk about in a moment because that's super useful. You can also set favorites, and when you set favorites, you're going to get a bar like this at the bottom that you can add to, and that means that you can quickly switch from one font color to the next just by clicking down here, which I did not do. There we go. So you can change that. I also have highlighters here, and I'll come back and talk about those here in a moment. So one of the cool things about Notability that most people don't know until they start actually using it is that you can draw shapes and lines. Now, the way you do this, it takes a little practice. You can't take your pencil off the iPad while you are drawing. So I'm going to draw a line, and my pen is still on the here. And as you can see, it wasn't straight, but I didn't take my pencil off. I'm still actually holding on to my pen on the iPad. And I can bring that back and make it shorter. I can move it up or down, but I can have a straight line. I can also go back and click that with my finger when I take my pencil off, and allows me to change or copy or delete that line. I can also draw a circle. Now, I can't normally draw a circle. I'm a really bad drawer, okay? But what I've done is I did not take my pencil off, still holding onto it on the iPad. I can make that smaller, again, by pulling my pencil in towards the center or expanding out. I can also draw a triangle. Same method. I did not release my pencil. I can draw a square. And then I can draw some much more complicated figures that people in biology or chemistry might find advantageous. So we start with a pentagon. So if you're drawing a pentose sugar, for instance, you can draw a pentagon. And you can draw a hexagon if you're drawing a hexo sugar or another organic compound. You can also click these again. You get those blue squares up, which shows it's editable, so you can pull out if you need to. You can make it bigger if you need to, whatever you need to do. You can also change the style, so you can fill this and make a color inside. You can change the line color if you would so like. It is really your preference at that point, what you do with it. But once you've done that, you can then copy that and make many copies. So if you're drawing a big complex diagram, you're able to do that. Now the highlighter, pretty self-explanatory, looks very much similar setup to the pencil. One thing that I will note is if you want to color in something and you want it all to be the same kind of shade in highlighter, don't take your pencil off, because the moment you do take your pencil off and then you go over that, it's going to get darker and darker and darker. So just keep that in mind. The eraser is next to that highlighter. And there are two different types of erasers. We're going to start with the partial eraser. What the partial eraser allows us to do is remove bits, but not remove the whole thing. So if I want to tidy this up, for instance, I can do that. But if I want to get the whole thing gone, I can go back and change that to whole instead of partial. And then I just touch my pencil and that whole thing goes. Okay. The lasso that's here allows you to change again whether you want it freeform or square. I usually leave it on freeform, it's much easier. But that means I can draw around, for example, this shape right here, and I can move that around. I can also change the style, duplicate it, copy, save, delete, etc. as needed. The hand, like I said, I actually don't use. I'm going to come back to this positive sign that's on the right over here a moment, because it allows us to do something with Notability that I find is very, very useful. So I'm going to use the positive sign first and look in the photo library. I have a photo right here. I'm going to add this. This allows us, this tab that's in the middle allows me to kind of pick and move it. I can expand it. I can rotate. It's pretty, again, self-explanatory. You can add a caption if you want to. But what I find is really powerful is I can take the pencil and I can go to where it has a positive sign right here. I can pick up this eyedropper here, this little dropper, and I can move this to wherever I would like to move it. So I'm going to move it here, and I click OK, and I click OK again. And then I'm able to remove this text from this figure. So whatever I want to remove, I can do that. I can change it. So I can go, take that eyedropper, and go here. Remember to click yes all the time. And again, I can remove that text if I want to get rid of some of those labels and put other labels there that are better, or I want to clean it up so it's less distracting for my viewer. So that's the main things in that menu bar. I would also say the microphone here, is also extremely useful. The microphone enables you to record whatever is happening. And I will use this quite frequently in conferences, so it can be used in the classroom. And while you're taking notes, maybe you get distracted, but maybe you're also just really super engaged in your classroom experience or your conference experience, and you lose track of taking notes. You're so engaged, you don't write notes. But if you have this recording, then you can see it's starting to kind of record. You can see the blue is filling up here. What will happen is if you're writing, it's kind of recording the writing and the voice recording, the audio that it can hear at the same time. And so you can go back and highlight where you're at in your text, and it will start playing from there. So you don't have to listen to the entire lecture, just the pieces where you kind of maybe drifted off or got too engaged. So I'm going to click that off, but you see then you get a bar, and you can go fast or slow. You can edit, merge, and do all sorts of different things here that I won't get into, but are very useful in a classroom or a conference setting. Last couple of things here. The first is on the right. I promised I'd come back to that double piece of paper. So we're going to click on that double piece of paper. And what that does is bring up all the pages that I've been working on. I can click this with my pencil or my finger, and I can move it. So long as it's highlighted in blue, I'm doing something with that. I can also copy that. I can add an additional page if I want to. I can clear the page of all the writing that I've put on there. Maybe you've done something and you want to erase it and then start over. You're able to clear that page right here. The other really kind of cool piece of this, I'm going to sweep from the left. So I'm going to put my finger, which you're not going to be able to see here, and I'm going to sweep from the left to the right. And as I do so, what happens is it's bringing all of the files that I've worked on recently. Now, if I click one of those files, and I'm holding it currently with my finger, and I haven't yet stopped, what will eventually happen is I can drop it to my left or to my right. So I'm going to drop it to my left, actually, and drop it. Then I have two files open at the same time that I'm working on. And the one I'm working on is always highlighted with blue. But what is cool about this is I can take this page and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to the one on the left, which has nothing yet, and I'm going to paste that page. And that whole page is now in that document. So this enables you to move things around from file to file if you want to. It also enables you to have one set of notes up and work on a clean set of notes if you want to do that. So that's another powerful piece of Notability. I'm going to go ahead and close that. The bar that is here, right here, will enable us to pull to the left or pull to the right, whichever is your preference. The other thing is over here on the left, you can also search in your document for particular words, which is really useful. It highlights it and allows you just to go to those pages. So that's super quick and easy too. So I'm going to pull this over to the right, and I'm going to close this window here. So we're back to our document. Obviously, this here is the same in any kind of Apple thing. It's the undo. Eventually, there will be a redo there if you undo enough. So that's also a useful feature to get used to. This arrow at the top here will take us back to our main menu. I'm not going to go back there. What I'm going to talk about next is the export button. So on the export button, I can click this and take this file and I can email it. I can print it, make it a PDF. I can submit it to Canvas. I can also send it as a text message to any of my friends if they want to work on it with me. And I can share a Notability file with them that they can work on, and then they can send it back to me. You can't work collaboratively yet. I'm hoping that Notability will eventually do this, but you can't just yet. The person has to close the app, upload it for you then to work on it. So let's look at that. So we're going to just click the export. So create public link allows you to share this file with another Notability user. Again, remember they have to upload and share it back with you. Email allows you to email a copy of this. You get to choose whether that's a PDF or a note file. Remember, or note with the recording. You can even share your recording with a school friend or a colleague, whatever you need to do. But remember, unless they have Notability, you should always send them a PDF. So PDF is usually my default, and then I change it to Note if I need to. I can also load this back to Google Drive if I would like to put it in a different spot, and I just want to keep things organized as I finish, which I quite often do. You can see here from my grading folder. You can also print it. Print is the same as on any iPad, where you put two fingers in the middle and you pull out, and that will enable you to print. And if you don't know how to do that, I would definitely look that up because it's really useful for copying web pages and different things. The other apps is where we're going to go. So I'm going to click on Other Apps, and then again, Format. I highly recommend PDF unless you know that person has Notability. So you can see that you have a number of people that you may have messaged most recently, and then you have a number of apps. You have a markup, some print, some other applications here. What you want to do is scroll here until you find Canvas. Now, Canvas Student works. Canvas Faculty or Canvas Teacher does not work for this, but Canvas Student does work. And what happens is you are able then to add in comments to your instructor, whoever that is. You change whichever class you want to load it to, whatever assignment that you haven't done, and then you would submit when everything is in place, and that will actually submit your assignment. So this is a great quick way to get those assignments back into Canvas, but make sure that they're PDF it's set as a PDF first. So remember that PDF makes it really easy for everybody. Okay, that's our walkthrough for Notability. If you find any new hints that I have not yet covered, some of them you'll come across as you work through this, but please let me know.